Well, let's give it a little bit of exercise on the track stand in the track stand test. Reverse, forward. This is about 10 mile per hour setting on I think it's a 4B transformer. No, it's a 2B transformer. Smoke unit really puts out the smoke. Very smooth. Now keep in mind, I have not finished the lubrication. I have not done the piston gear, nor have I done the main drive gear, nor have I done the side linkages. But everything else has had lubrication, including all the axles. That's at 30 miles an hour, 50, 70, 80, and maximum. This is reverse. That's maximum. Now, the one thing I did when I put in the brushes that you've heard me speak of earlier is that these, of course, are the square brushes. I filed the tips down to be square, not to have any type of concavity such that it looks like it fits around the commutator. Based on Mr. Barker's recommendation, I left them flat and put them in flat so that they would adapt to the curvature of this particular armature or commutator. That's going to take a little bit of time, but my experience has shown is that as those become more fitted to the commutator and has more touch points across the entire brush, performance is likely to improve, and that's what I've experienced on diesels and on diesels as well. Looks like it runs better forward than it does in reverse. Now, the owner had said it had run better in reverse. As one engineer pointed out to me, remember, when it's in reverse, especially on the brushes that are on a flat or a not a cylinder type of commutator or drum type of commutator, but on the flat type, that you get more on the thrust to reverse, it throws the armature up against the brushes even tighter. And of course, according to the engineering papers that have been written on these types of motors, types being ones in which you have brushes on that plate commutator, is that the tighter they are and the more pressure is on them, the better they're going to run. Whereas the brushes out maybe just a little bit more, but you know, it's supposed to reduce the arcing or sparks at the point of contact to the brush and the commutator, and that is in essence what wears them out and eats them up. Has a good steady creep speed. Looks like I got a little bit of a wire here coming in contact with the commutator. Need to pull that through just a little bit and get it out of the way. Okay. This is 50 miles an hour on a 2B transformer. I don't think the smoke unit needs any work. You can see the brushes are still arcing a good bit, but I expect that to diminish over time as the end of the brush gets more fitted to the curvature of the drum comes there. Of course, part of that humming sound is coming from the fact that it's up on a post, and that, of course, is mounted on the table, and it's making a little bit of noise, so we should lose some of that hum. All right, let's get it back together. One final mention regarding the holes in these contact springs. By the way, I did test and I did retension these so that they have good tension. There is a little bit of wear on the bushings for these axles, but not much. But there is good tension such that the springs are applying pressure. And speaking of pressure, the holes that are in these springs are not caused by friction. They're caused by arcing or sparks. These axles were black when I first started. Some of these have still got a little bit of black stain that I couldn't get out. It's that constant arcing that eats away at those brass contact points and contact springs. The exact same phenomenon can be seen in a 696 track switch in which there is no friction whatsoever. You simply have the pedestal up on the plate up on the rail head pushing down and making contact with a very similar type of brass spring. It's the same material, of course, and it's about the same size, and it comes down and touches a point to create the current, to close the current. And every time it does, it creates a spark. And those sparks eat holes into the brass strip that's at the bottom of those 696 track trips. I mean, very clean, very distinguishable holes. I've had to toss out a couple of 696 track trips because I've just overused them and that arcing has gotten to it. But what I'm going to do with this train, as I'm going to do with other things like the 696 track trips, is I'm going to change my cleaning methodology and how I back out of this. What I'm going to do, as I have already done really on this train, on its contact wheels and its axles, is I'm going to clean them with mineral spirits. So let me get the mineral spirits bottle. I'm not using paint thinner mineral spirits. I'm using pure mineral spirits. 100% pure odorless mineral spirits. Not necessarily designed for oil paints, but it will thin oil paints. What I'm shying away from is the type that you get at the hardware store that says paint thinner made with mineral spirits. I don't want any kind of solvents in it. Excuse me, I don't want any kind of solvents in it. I just want the pure mineral spirits. I'm going to do a video later as to why I switched to mineral spirits as opposed to 91% isopropyl alcohol, but it has to do with that the mineral spirits is non-polar. And I'm going to mention the paper, the white paper that was written by someone in a very scientific manner, whereas the isopropyl alcohol is polar, and it doesn't induce, but it can cause the sparks to be present, maybe more of them. So I'm going to clean all these contact. I already have. I've cleaned the axles and the contact springs with this particular type of mineral spirits quite thoroughly. But before I put the train back into production and send it back to the owner, I'm going to coat these axles in Deoxit, DEOXIT, which is at the highest point of the rating for doing exactly what we're doing, and that is being nonpolar and reducing the arcing, which will wear these out. So I'm just going to put a slight light coating right there, and I've already started doing this on my rail head to reduce the sparks as well, or the arcing. And I'm going to reference that scientific paper, and I know some people don't like the scientific approach. They just like the seat of the pants. But you'll notice in another video, I'm going to mention that I do not endorse the use of CRC 226 on the rail head. CRC 226 is a lubricant. It does clean. It has a cleaning capability. and it is said to, and I believe it does, enhance electrical performance. But it is very high on a particular type of rating chart that it is being polar instead of non-polar. So I don't endorse using CRT 226. Now, where does CRT 226 have a good application? Well, I found that they have a good application on things like these reverse units because of that lubrication and because they are plastic. It is plastic compatible. It's great for switches as well. Just don't put too much on there. And I'm not talking about the railhead. I'm talking about the body and the contact points on the switch, because you need a little bit of lubrication to move that frog, but not too much. I have had great success in using CRT 226 on switches.